Hello and welcome to another in my series of Becky BCB Crochet. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the double crochet stitch. This is another in my series of how to crochet videos. I'm going to be starting with a foundation chain, which is what you need to be able to stitch into when learning to crochet. So here I've got my 4mm crochet hook, just to recap, and I've got a ball of 100% acrylic yarn to crochet with. So I'm going to start with the foundation chain, which is the chain that you need, just to recap, just to be able to crochet that double crochet stitch into. So what you do is holding the hook in your right hand, or if you're left-handed, in your left hand, whatever your dominant hand is, you need to hold the yarn loosely in your left and you yarn over, hook facing the sky, and then you need to turn that hook towards you and through that first loop on the hook, and that's your first starting chain there. It will be quite loose, but don't worry about that. So you yarn over again, hook to the sky, turning that hook towards you and pull that through there. So I'm just going to do a few of these just to show you, and it can be quite tricky when you start with. As you can see, I'm struggling slightly there. What you need to remember is not to crochet that too tightly, so to do that quite loose so you get those foundation chains there and you can see each loop that you're going to be going into to do the double crochet stitch. So as you can see here, I've got my starting chain of crochet stitches here that we're going to work into, and just to not worry you guys, they will twirl around slightly when you crochet those up in the chain stitch, but that's nothing to worry about. They will straighten out as we crochet into those. So and a little tip as well is not to crochet those too tight, so you can see each loop that you're working into, because we don't want to make it more difficult for ourselves than we have to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start off with this stitch, and it's different from the single crochet stitch where we just go straight into the loop. We're actually going to be yarning over first and then into that loop. So what we need to do is holding the hook in our dominant hand and with the wool in our right hand, we're going to yarn over, and then we're going into that second chain from the hook. It's always the second chain from the hook. So we're going to put that loop onto our hook there, and then we've got 3 loops on the hook. So we've got our first loop that's always there, the second one in the middle, and then the third one at the end there. So then we are going to yarn over again, hook facing to the sky, and we're going to go through the first 2 loops on the hook there. So there's loop 1, and the second loop is a little bit tricky there, so it's always important to remember when working with the yarn not to crochet that too tight, so we can pull that down and then go through that second loop there. And then we've got 2 loops left on the hook, so then we'll need to yarn over the work again and go through those 2 loops on the hook right through there, and that's our first double crochet. So just to show you again, I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch along. So you see you've got the little gap there, that's where we've crocheted the double crochet into, so it's the next stitch along from that one on the chain stitches there next to the hook. So we're going to start with yarning over the hook again, and then we're going to go into that next chain stitch. We're going to push that onto the hook there. So then we've got 3 loops on the hook there, as before. Then we're going to yarn over the work again, and we're going to go through the first 2 loops on the hook there. So there's 1, and again the second one is a little bit tricky, so do remember to keep that work loose if you can. It won't affect the overall tension either at the end result, and the trick that I have there is to pull that down just to make that a little bit easier to work into. So then we've got 2 loops left on the hook there that we're going to work into, and we're going to yarn over one more time, and then we're going to pull the yarn through the 2 loops on the hook, and that's 2 double crochets. So you can see that you can carry on crocheting all the way along there with the double crochets to practice that stitch, and you can see, I'm just going to show you a bit closer on the camera, that there's 1 double crochet there, and the second one in that stitch there, and you carry on working into those chain stitches all the way along to the end of the hook there. Just remember to keep that work loose, like I said as well. That does make life a little bit easier when working along there. And if you're feeling fancy, you can crochet all the way to the end, do a little turning chain stitch, and then turn your work and work right back down the other side if you're feeling a little bit fancy with that as well. So that's just a little recap there on the double crochet stitch. So I just wanted to recap over the UK and the US crochet stitch terminology, and I've got my iPad here. You can see I've got the British crochet stitches on the left, which start with a double crochet, and the US ones on the right, which are always starting with a single crochet and going upwards. So I got this on the lovecrochet.com website, which I will explain a little bit more about in a minute, but it's definitely a recommended website for you guys to take a look at. And my personal preference is working with the US patterns, and you'll find that a lot of the patterns are actually worked in US crochet terminology. It's a bit of a giveaway as well because they tend to start with single crochet, and as I say, the British crochet patterns start with a double, so you'll know if it's a US version really. So scrolling up as well on my iPad, I stumbled across the different types of yarn that you can use, and they've got a recommended range of hook sizes, which I thought was quite good as well. So if you've got a really nice ball of yarn or something that you really fancy working with, it gives you a bit of a range recommended hook sizes that you can crochet up with, which I thought was quite useful. And also if I scroll upwards here, you can see that they've got the crochet hook sizes. So when working with patterns, you'll notice that they are either lettered or numbered for the crochet hook that they recommend to work the pattern up with. So it just gives you a bit of a metric conversion there, because the crochet hooks will actually have the metric terms on each hook there. This again is from the lovecrochet.com website. I really recommend this website because it's got useful information such as this that I've just shown you, but it's also got some really nice brands of wool. So if you fancy trying anything out like that, I definitely recommend that. Thanks for checking in and watching my how to crochet video on the double crochet stitch today. So this was another in the series of the how to crochet videos. Next we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to be showing you the half double crochet stitch, so we're getting a little bit more fancy going forwards. But the basic stitches you've got there are the chain, the single and the double crochet stitch from my videos so far. Please do give me a like and a follow, I'd be really grateful, and I will show you some bits that I have been working on also. This is an example of something I've been working on recently, which you can see is crocheted hearts. So I've been having a go at making these this week, and I'm making some heart bunting out of those, and they're really fun. And I just wanted to show you the different stitches and how they're worked up. So you can see it's 3 rings of the single crochet stitch going round to start with, and then there's triple crochets worked round the top of the heart there, and then the double crochets, which is what I'm going to show you in my next video, and they're worked down the side there. So you can see that with the basic stitches you can get the basics up there, and then you can work the more fancy stitches to make different patterns, and it's really rewarding as well. You can see once you get going on this, you can really make anything from any pattern. It's a really good craft to learn overall. So do check my Etsy website out as well, because I will be selling some of my items on there, and please do give me a like and give me a follow, I'd really appreciate it, and subscribe to my YouTube videos to check out the new ones in the future. Thank you so much for checking in, really appreciate all the love. Thanks guys.